Well, hi, good morning.
Good morning.
So, today we want to talk about stress management during the holidays.
I'm messing it up.
Yes, you are. Thanks for
I'm
the help,
stressing him out.
Not stressing me out.
There we go.
That's
Okay.
as big as it gets, I guess. Anyway, stress management. What does that even mean?
Means managing stress. Means, taking a moment, calming down, balancing your autonomic nervous system,
Yeah.
chilling out, I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
So, what it doesn't mean is one of the definitions of stress that I find comical is stress is the suppression of the nearly irresistible desire to choke the living snot out of somebody who desperately deserves it. And that isn't helpful to anyone. Another definition of stress that I do think is valid is, generally speaking, stress is caused from doing one thing when you'd prefer to do a different thing. And that might be thinking about things or doing things or whatever. But in general, something is happening in your life that you don't want to be happening, and that's causing stress.
Or maybe there's so many things happening that you feel like you are torn a million directions and you're overwhelmed. That's usually my definition of stress.
Yeah.
I want to be all those places, but I can't do all those things, and it's like, how can I get all these things done with just being me?
Yeah, and I think a lot of times people think that in order to be stress-free, they need to deny their emotional life. They need to just push those aside. But the truth is, emotions are meant to be emoted, and feelings are meant to be felt. And when you're having emotions, they are bringing your attention to something important, because you wouldn't be having an emotional response to something that wasn't important to you, right?
Mm-hmm. Or maybe you need to just rethink how you are responding and reacting to the situation as well.
Right. So when that emotion brings your attention, try to understand what is the fundamental issue. It's almost never the thing that's right in front of you, right? You're being triggered by some other deeper process. And if you can get to that and understand what that deeper process is, then to your point, you can then, what is the most wise and compassionate response to that real core issue? If I'm triggered by something and it just made me really mad, is the most compassionate and wise response to fly off the handle and start screaming, which is my default way of doing it, or or is it to stop, drop, and roll, as we were taught in grade school, right? We're on fire, emotionally we're on fire, so we should stop, drop, and roll, and think about.
Stop and breathe.
And breathe, right? What is going on? What should we be doing? Mm-hmm. So mindfulness, is that a tool we could talk about, or?
Yeah, so I was going to go to the idea of, so we all think we want to go on vacation, right? Because it's relaxing, and vacations are great. But I think that if that's the only way for us to really, okay, I got to go on vacation so I can relax, we really need to bring those little bits of vacation or how you feel on vacation into our daily lives. It's always like the first few days of vacation seem to take forever. Not forever, but they are nice and long. Maybe that's the better way of saying it. And then as you get towards the end of vacation, it just goes by like that. I always think that's because right away when we are on vacation, we're so present in the moment and what we're doing, that really just brings a fullness to the day, to your moments. So yes, mindfulness, bringing those moments into your day-to-day life. And when I'm super stressed out and having a hard time bringing myself back, I always find if I go back to my breathing, I like to do like square breathing, where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like just doing that in my brain, counting up, counting down, like that's really all I can concentrate or think of. And the breathing itself just helps to balance me right away. Otherwise, sometimes I take some neurobalance Huperzine, and that seems to help too, because sometimes you just get in those. I think mine is more of a cortisol rut, so to say, where I just can't snap out of it. So.
Yeah. I like the idea that our angst is our liberation. So whatever it is that you're having angst about, whether it's anger or stress or anxiety or whatever emotional state you're in, if you really explore that emotion, rather than denying the emotion, but explore the emotion and try to understand the emotion and where it's coming from and what's triggering it, that is a process that can help you de-trigger things. And then, simply being present. I used to work in Painesville Hospital, and I also worked at a clinic in Belgrade. And so I'm in my car, I'm driving from Painesville to Belgrade to go to a different clinic. I'm listening to the radio, and they're having a conversation about mindfulness and meditation. And the guy's some expert, he's on national public radio, so he's some expert. But it just sounds so complicated, so I was compelled to call in. So now I'm driving, I'm listening to the radio, and I'm talking on the phone. Hardly mindful, right? But I said on national radio, it's just not that complicated. Mindfulness is doing precisely what you're doing and nothing else. So, and I said this, if you're peeing, pee. Don't think about your checkbook. Don't think about anything else. Just take that moment, take a few, leisurely, yawning breaths and pee. That's all.
Don't take your phone into the bathroom.
Don't take your phone. Don't, do a lot of stuff. And it's the same thing with everything else. I mean, you're in the kitchen and you're trying to cook, and it's like you got 500 things going and the kids are going crazy. Well, be present with that chaos.
Yeah, maybe bring them in to stir something and make a mess.
Yeah, I like to say, there's no 10-year-old who doesn't want to use a knife. Now, whether or not they have fingers at the end of it is a different issue, but they want to use the knife. So, if you teach them how to cut an onion or cut a carrot or cut a whatever, and just involve them, now they're not banshees running around, but instead they're kids helping in the kitchen.
Yeah, so what's the top few things you would recommend? Like if you're going to recommend the top 3 things for stress management?
Absolutely be present. Just allow what is to be present, right? So what is, and there's nothing you can do about it. So the acceptance of the reality around you is a powerful, powerful tool. And then when you're feeling really overwhelmed, I would go back to the breath work that Elizabeth was talking about. She likes to do square breathing. I like to start with a few leisurely yawning breaths because those are very parasympathetic activating. And exhale is parasympathetic as well. So I tend to like to breathe in, but then breathe out slowly and hesitate to the end of the breath because all of that's parasympathetic. And then sometimes taking a step away, right? And, stepping out onto the porch, taking a short walk. The other night we took a walk in pitch black, and it was actually beautiful and amazing.
Yeah.
Right? There's all kinds of things.
Cool out.
Yep. So self-care, being aware. The problem is if you're trying to push away your emotional state, you're not being aware of your emotional state. If you're trying to deny your emotions, you're not aware of your emotions. So if you allow your emotions to be a part of your daily life, then you're more likely to be able to step away before you detonate, or step away before you feel so awful, or whatever. What are your top ideas?
I would say my top ideas is connecting to myself in the moment, and again, the feelings I'm feeling, or maybe just connecting to myself and talking myself off the ledge. And then connecting to gratitude. Like, I think if you can always think of something to be grateful for, and if you can just kind of, like sometimes I get in these negative spirals and I get worked up. And if I can connect to myself and connect to being grateful, that can really balance me. Otherwise, I'm a sensory person. Smells are huge for me. I have very sensitive smell.
That's a fact.
So essential oils are great. That's a great way to kind of rebalance me. Otherwise, like this is my grandma's sweater, and I can still smell her on it. So sometimes it's, snuggling up with something special like that too.
If you go to our website, under services, you'll see something called Rebalance to Heal. Mm-hmm. And we have in there some ideas about a sensory soothing kit. And one of the things is, an object for every sense. So a scent for your smell, something that you can feel for your sense of touch and so on. Mm-hmm. And these can be very grounding and very...
Rebecca, the 45 Days to Awakening class was absolutely life-changing for me and my health. Was so worth it. Yes, we did that as well, Rebecca. Yeah. Great point. That is a great...
So there's a book entitled Finders, and as you know, there are people who are seeking, right? People who are seeking enlightenment. Well, these are people who have found it, and it's written. Hey, Rebecca, who's the guy who does the program? I've forgotten his name, but put it in the chat if you would, if you can remember. But anyway, he wrote this book called Finders because he wrote a book about these people who are actually enlightened, It's very interesting, and they're from all walks of life. It's not just gurus sitting on mountaintops with weird-looking hats on. It's everybody everywhere.
Yes, and Carol said, set down the phone and breathe. So incredibly important. Yeah. Disconnecting from our devices, computers, phones, like dopamine detox. That is very necessary. Thank you for bringing that up as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I have to tell, you mentioned talking yourself off the ledge. You have to tell a stupid little story because it's irrelevant. I have a friend who's a stockbroker in New York City, big high-pressure firm.
Jeff Martin?
Yeah, Jeff Martin, thank you. The author of the book, Finders, is Jeff Martin, and he's also the 45 Days of Awakening class mentor. So look up Jeff Martin on Amazon, or just Google him, and the course will come up. It's really powerful. It's really useful. But anyway, he's this high-powered stockbroker guy, and he's sitting in his computer terminal. He's just bored to tears, and he's looking out the window, and here come the window washers. Well, he's a buddy of mine, and he's a whitewater kayaker and a rock climber and a backcountry skier. So we're on this backcountry skiing trip, and he's telling me this story. He says, I was so bored, I just got up I didn't even think about it. I just got out of my desk. I walked over to the door, I opened it up, I stepped out on a ledge because I'm a rock climber. It's not a big deal. And they're like on the 45th floor or something in New York City. And he walks over and he's sitting on the edge of the ledge just having a chat in his suit, right? He's a three-piece suit guy, so he's in the suit just chatting with the guys who are cleaning the windows. And at first they're like, holy shit, there's a guy who's going to jump. And then he goes, no, I'm a rock climber. It's cool. I'm just talking to you guys. But there's somebody across the road who sees him out on the ledge, and pretty soon the whole fire department shows up, and there's this big deal. And he goes, I guess, and he just looks at the window washer and goes, I guess I got to go. And he goes back to his desk. And I guess his supervisor comes over and says, don't do that. But I guess somebody talked him off the ledge. Anyway, what else? Anything else, or should we wind it up?
I should wind it up. We're at 13 and a half minutes.
Oh, wow. Time flies when you're having fun. Yeah. So we were trying to keep these really brief and not harness too much of your time, but I hope it was useful for you. It's really useful for us, and really appreciate you guys showing up. And we will talk to you next Friday. Same time, same channel, or how's that work? Is next Friday Christmas or something? I'm so bad with stuff.
Not Christmas yet. Okay. Not to stress anyone out. It's not a week away. Yes, Friday, same time.
Same bat channel, same bat time. All right. Now all I got to do is find the right button. All right. Have a great day, you guys. Bye-bye.
All right.
And Fran. Hi, Fran. Good morning.
Carol says she misses your sense of humor.
Well, thank you, Carol. You're the only one. Hey, Fran, you're up early, huh? What is it, 6? Oh, I guess it's almost 7. Yeah, you're a slacker. And then...
and Sean.
Hi.
One of our book winners.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Bye. If we could only push